of the night. I'm playing Pac-Man, it's my second life. The joysticks in my hand, I'm unstoppable. High score secrets, I've got them all unlocked. Memories rush back like a time machine. Take me back to the arcade, where I spent my younger days. In the black lights glowing on a pocket full of tokens. Dance and groove to the beat, on the pixelated screen we meet. New wave melodies playing loud. Lost in the arcade, my heart is found. Guitar and red session, we were all quite excited. Popping tokens in the cabinet, it's the thrill of the fight. We saved the world through pixelated dreams. We're the greatest generation with a faded acid genes. Take me back to the arcade, where I spent my younger days. In the black lights glowing on a pocket full of tokens. Dance and move to the beat, on the pixelated screen we meet.
Hi, welcome to Stream 1 breakout session and day 2 of Week of AI. We're super excited to have you here with us, and we have a fantastic speaker, Andrew Mowat, with 4 decades in education from teacher. Did I get it right? Did I mess it up?
You did more than no.
I even asked.
Yes, you did. Yeah, no, definitely 4 decades, and I'm feeling it.
Yeah. Oh, I hear you. So he's gone from global head of learning at Cognita. He focuses on real world educational change. Recently, he's aimed to demystify AI in education, making it practical for all educators. Also, he's the co-founder of EduSpark, where he innovates professional development, linking learning to visible outcomes. We're super excited to have you here, and I know we're starting a little bit late, so I'm going to let you jump right into your presentation.
Thanks, Amanda, and a couple of apologies up front. I'm in Singapore, so it's a bit of a strange time zone. So if I get my head round the wrong way, it's probably because of that. And also, I've got a bit of a cold today, so I might have the odd cough and splutter. But with that, I've got some really interesting things to share with you. And just last night in the preparation for this, I actually had a bit of an argument with my wife. And the premise for this discussion is about the discrimination and the understanding of the provenance of images that we see, so that we as teachers can teach this to students, because already we've had a world full of fakes, deepfakes, and all sorts of variations of reality. And just last night, she said, "Look at these amazing birds." And some of these are so plausibly realistic. And here she is, she's talking to me about whether this is real or not. And I'm saying these are not real. And it was quite a bit of a discussion. Let me stop that now. Quite a discussion as to whether these were actually real. And I've sourced this for you. You can check this up on TikTok. These are amazing, beautiful short video clips of stunning variations of birds that look super realistic. And this is what we're in the middle of the world doing to us at the moment. This second piece is from the new to be released Sora. It's been released in its sort of demonstration like this, the demonstration on social media, showing some of the capabilities of Sora from OpenAI, which still has some glitches, still has some issues, but just with the prompt that you can see there, reflections in the window of a train traveling through the Tokyo suburbs. And what I want you to look at here as a way of setting the scene, I'm doing a bit of bright, shiny object work here quite clearly, the wow, look at this sort of thing. But I really want you to look past that into the contextual complexity of this. So as we play this, you'll see that AI has created the view of a Japanese city from within the train, and fairly shortly you'll see just there, and I'll play that again. That is a super difficult thing for any computer generated system to do. It's gone past another train, I think, or something that has caused a momentary reflection in the window, and the person who is supposedly taking this is in the window at the time, being reflected back. And that capacity to understand the context of reflection passing by is, to me, just amazing. And I know that we're all amazed, but this is something that is pressing a major problem for us. So that's a part of the background of why I want to talk to you about this today. My intentions today are, first of all, get you to appreciate the scope of both the opportunity that the AI world is giving us, but also the problems that may be presenting. I'm not going to be a negative naysayer, but I'm going to position some provocations for you, and I will, in fact, probably, hopefully, leave you with more questions than answers, particularly at this point in time with this piece of work. I want to give you some sense of the capacity to discriminate or not, and to pick what is real and what is not, and to use some mechanisms. And they're a cold together group of strategies at the moment, while we don't have industry standards around this, but to teach you some of the mechanisms that are in play that allow us to discriminate and see what it is that might determine the provenance of an image, whether it's real and whether it's not. And then the main purpose of this is to present this to you as educators with a view to taking this and teaching kids. We are way behind in teaching our students the work of AI, and one of the reasons is this speed of development of AI. So with those intentions, and with a link from that last point, here's one short frame. That's the only graph I'm going to show you. And this is the time it takes to develop and the time it takes to diffuse for a range of different technologies over time. And the development time is quite clear. The diffusion time really means the time it takes for that technology to show up in our life in various ways, to show up in our work, to show up in teaching and learning strategies, for example. And you can see that radio and television took decades to develop and decades to diffuse. And as we track through into personal computers and the internet, and there's an interesting anomaly there, then we start to move into this falling pace, or in fact the increasing pace of time, the falling available time, to both that it takes to develop and to diffuse. And you can see with devices and tablets, we're in the 5-year range, 10 years to develop, 5 years to diffuse. Augmented reality, about the same. And interestingly, the time to develop is longer again than the time to diffuse. And this is showing us that we've got less than a year for the diffusion occurring in our workplace. And we know that this is one of the pressures on education. Education historically has tended to take about 5 years to adapt and adopt to a particular type of technology in the way that we use it effectively in the classroom. About 2 years at best, 5 years on average, I reckon. And here we are in the world of AI, and it's diffusing into our workflow, into our systems at a rate faster that we can historically adapt and adopt in a cohesive and developmental way that's effective. So there is massive pressure on us in our current world to scramble to get to grips with the implications, the pressure points, the opportunities of AI in our world. And this is a constant theme, but please be aware we're being squeezed with very little time. And one of the pressure points is that kids are already using this, and kids are away and running, whether you know it or not. So for those of you who, and thanks Regine, great to have you along. For those of you who are in the live and watching, pardon me, and again, I did apologize for the cold that I've got at the moment. I want you to try and just pick left or right. If you can jump in the chat and choose left or right, then which one of these faces is real? So I'm not sure whether we've got people with the capacity to jump in and pick. And if you are not there, let me just readjust that again. If you're not there at the moment, that's fine. You can do this asynchronously when you watch the replay. I want you to try and pick the face that's not real. And it turns out in this particular image, the left-hand one is the one that is the real image. The right-hand one is the real image. And so this is coming from a website that I'm going to flip to now called Which Face is Real. Now, I've used this site in training, the training I do for teachers around AI. Jen, great to see you there. And this one here we go. So we generally get about 50-50 when we're not in a space where we understand what to look for. So we've got some people saying that the left hand, some is the right. And I'm going to pick the right. And I'm now at the point of getting about 90 to 95% correct. When I test this with people who don't know what to look for, we're in the space of about 50%, which is about the same as chance, isn't it? And hi to all of those of you in the chat. And g'day, Jen. Great to see you along. So which one here is real? Just have another quick go. Left or right? There's some bad news with this particular website, and I'll come to that bad news in a second. So for those of you who've, there might be a bit of a delay in the time it takes for you, just even L or R would be fine in the chat. And for those, you've got left, Nick. Thank you very much for that. In fact, I'm looking carefully at the one on the left, and there are some real, Regine, you are correct. It is the right one. Now I'm playing this live. I've used a range of features in each of these images. Sorry, Jen, yours is wrong. I'm going to teach you what I now know to look for in these images. And there's a caveat that goes with this. Let's try another quick one if we've got time to do this. And then we'll come and look at what it is that I'm looking at, that I'm searching and screening for. And left or right again. Remembering that I'm up to 2 out of 2. You can check your own count on this one. Just one quick look at this, and this will be our last go. And this is a great one to play on colleagues, but it's also a part of a Google Slides program that I've developed for some schools that do 30-minute sessions around PHSE, which is a program of like being a form teacher or an advisory teacher. In that time, they do some teaching. Jen, you're on the left-hand side. I don't see anyone going for the right. Amanda, you've gone for the right. It is, in fact, the left one. And you can see right now I'm at 100% with these three. I occasionally get one that's really hard to pick. And the problem with looking at faces, and the context here is helping to know how to teach students to discriminate images that might be in their world, which will largely be social images. Now, there are lots of other types of images that we're generating, as I showed at the start, but there are some things to look for in these images. And I'm going to pop back to here and give you a sense of the clues. Now, that QR code is to get access to my bare bones Google Slides kit, if you like, that is meant to be a guiding document so teachers can teach this to students. And this exercise is in that. And what I've been doing with kids is to go through and get them to work in pairs, go through this website, count how many out of 10 they get correct, come back and teach them these particular elements, and then go back and retest. And what I've been getting so far is that kids live to 7 to 9 out of 10 usually, from 5 out of 10, pretty well the same as chance. And so this starts to give us access to helping discriminate where images might have emerged from. And if we look at this one, strange backgrounds, wonky glasses, shiny blobs is number one, asymmetries, little sort of halo effects around the hair, unconnected strands, other humans in the image that don't fit naturally, And a little bit later on, we're going to look at a few that starts to understand the difficulty that words and hands and teeth are presenting temporarily, I must say, to the world of AI generation. So if we go back to this, you can see on the right-hand side, there are some strange artifacts, and I've looked directly at the background, and around this area here, there is some strange artifacts in the background. In this data set, and there's some bad news with this data set, you can also see some strange effects around here. Generally speaking, if we get people that present well in the background, and thanks, Gillian, I'll go back to Gillian, sorry. I will go back and share that again, just in case you missed it. So if we just play this again, we might get some of the other artifacts popping up. And straight up, you can see in this one here, the background on the one on the left is really strange. What we tend to do as humans is we focus on the central part of the face and we miss these other elements. So the one on the right here is the real one. And then as we go through into this one, look for asymmetries as well. And straight up, you can see an asymmetry with the earrings just there. We might also, there's a weird artifact just there. Sometimes you get these blobs, but rarely these days. And that's the bad news. You can see some asymmetry around the glasses. So you can see that there's a very large part of the frame here, and that's a smaller frame. So that would be the correct one on the right-hand side. And one last one, I'm just hoping I might get a blob or something strange in the background. And if you look at the top right-hand side here, that's a strange set of artifacts around here. And there's a problem with the tooth just here. And so I'm going to go for that one. So again, we can start to get a sense of discriminating what appears to be quite a realistic set of faces. And we can see that one of those is off. And sometimes this gets very hard. So that range of things is a good discriminator. And I invite you to play that on your colleagues and even to grab that. As I said, it's a pretty bare bones deck without lots of formatting so that you can take that and develop that yourself. If actually, I think I'm sharing in that case just the viewer code, just the viewer link, and I should have shared the editor link so you can grab that and take that. But if you would like that, please email me and I'll send you a copy. But here's the problem. That's 2019. The data set there is 4 or 5 years old. And these sorts of artifacts are disappearing. So in some ways, there's a limit. While we understand, and it's good AI education to teach kids where AI has come from. And I think there's deep value in this whole approach beyond just the deciding the provenance of a particular image. And here we are. Here are 2 images that I created on actually shot myself on the foot. I was going to say, which of these is real? And that's my tired brain at the moment. But I was going to try and trick you and say, which of these is real? And have you play the same game? And my dyslexia and ADD got in front of that and gave you the answer before I could actually play the trick on you. But both of these are, in fact, generated in AI, current AI. The one on the left is ideogram.ai. The one on the right is from Midjourney. And the job of discriminating now is a lot more difficult. We now have significantly more subtle artifacts that are harder to spot. And I'm wondering if I can show you one thing that we can use to discriminate. One is we can look at the metadata around the image. So if we can save the image and then analyze it on our desktop or use some other apps online, we can start to see that the one on the left is an iPhone photograph of a class I was delivering the other day, and you can see all of the rich metadata. Ideogram, the provenance of that image is shown through the generation of the image by Ideogram. And you can see that it's showing device make Ideogram AI just down in the bottom there. When we look at Midjourney, Midjourney puts nothing in the image. So nothing is not necessarily an indication that it is AI, because some images that we pick up from the web that are real have their metadata stripped, but it might be one of the clues that goes further. But if we were to take a look back at this one, and I'm going to see if I can increase things a little bit, all of a sudden now you can see something strange with Midjourney's approach to her hand. And that's the sort of stuff that you're going to find, these little artifacts where it just doesn't get the algorithm correct. Let's not be critical here. This is amazing that it can produce something of this quality. There's also something a little bit weird going on with that necklace. The background looks good. The rendition of the hair now is outstanding. And so using hair and blobs, that red blob there is from my slide, has disappeared. So the number of things we can use to discriminate has fallen. And I'm afraid, folks, the news gets even worse. If I can come back to my proper size here, the news gets even worse as we go down the track here. I don't know if many of you saw this. This is VESA 1. And VESA 1, these are all generated images, AI generated images that they've used in their research to place on top of an algorithm that generates a video from a single image. I'm going to show you that in a second. But it's an example of the rapid development. We are seeing the reduction of identifying artifacts and hallucinations at a massive rate as each iteration of AI comes through. So this is a big pressure point for us. And at the moment, it's arguable by the end of the year, everything that I'm teaching here may become redundant, in which case this becomes a history lesson for where AI came from and what we used to be able to do and what we used to be able to identify. And there are some other ways that I'm going to finish this out and talk to you about the sorts of mechanisms we might use to have students discriminate and find the provenance. Sorry for those of you that don't like the vertical motion here. I've got this set up so I can show lots of different things with the different websites I've got prepared. So this is VESA 1. If you just look up VESA 1, VESA-1, you'll get this article. And this is not yet released. Now, you won't have the sound, I think. Amanda, can you confirm if the sound is coming through or this or not? Because it's sharing a window, not a tab. I suspect it's not. So that's a voice track and an image as the only two inputs into this system. And then we've got a very plausible, realistic video speaking that voice track. This is so these are not only brilliant, but you can see multiple viewpoints. Yeah, I know that there's no sound, so I invite you to grab this link, which I shall pop into the chat. And I don't know if I can, Amanda, I wonder if we can pop that into the chat. It's there, and I can certainly follow up with this link. And if you look for VESA-1 from Microsoft, you'll get this blog page which shows their research. And what I'm illustrating more than anything, the sound and the production of the mouth in the way it's producing the words is beyond amazing. And I've been playing with this myself this year, and I'll show you one where we're at with the current technology. This is not, VESA 1 is not yet released, but you can get multiple viewpoints. And I invite you to come to this page and watch, because this is Mona Lisa. It's super loud in my headphones, so I can't speak at the same time, but that is Mona Lisa doing a rap song. And it's realistic and amusing and scary all at once. So it doesn't have to be a photographic image. It can be a general image. But this just requires two things, folks. It requires an audio clip and with words in it, and a single face-on, front-on image. And then from there, it generates all sorts of wild, thanks very much, Amanda, I really appreciate that, wild opportunities for deep faking. And so the old Tom Cruise deep fake, which was now about 4 or 5 years old, that took massive amounts of effort. And someone who looked plausibly a bit like Tom Cruise, with a lot of computing power and time and effort, produced deep fakes that hit the news. Now you can do this in a couple of clicks and it's there and available. So it really starts to put pressure on us as adults, but especially on children, students, young adults, to be able to understand and pick what might be real and what might not be real. And where we are at the moment, where we're in the woods and lost a little bit in terms of some of these tools we might need. This again won't have sound. Apologies for that. I should have set this up so it was a tab inside. I've gone for a bit of convenience and insurance to make sure things don't go wrong. This is HeyGen. That's me speaking, Jennifer Bloomingdale. I just mentioned I just spoke your voice in that video. This is not me, and this is my digital avatar. And as I let it play, so I'm speaking Chinese, and the way this was produced was a 2-minute training video in front of my green screen with that background. That was used to train the avatar. I then applied a script to it, and then the avatar spoke the script. Now, originally that script was in English, and I can share this as a private video, but I'm happy to share that with people to show the impact of this. All I did then was to change the language of the script with a single button, and now I'm speaking Chinese. Now, my wife, Susu, is Chinese, and she knows I play with AI, and she saw this and she thought, well, that's pretty amazing. We showed this to Susu's best friend, Kimiko, who we see quite often. And Kimiko's jaw dropped. Kimiko's jaw dropped not because of the technology. She looked at me and said, why have you not been speaking Chinese like this to me before? Why do you struggle to speak Chinese? And here you are, you're speaking it perfectly on a video. And she just absolutely believed that this was real. And so the quality of the technology is significant. Now, in finishing my point on this one, this has at least a process that validates that this is me. I had to take a 2-minute, read this statement. Sorry, not 2 minutes. I had to record a short statement, reading a statement, and clicking OK to sign off that this was me and that I have permission for this to be up on HeyGen. And so, therefore, there was an algorithm that was checking the recording of the reading the statement against the recordings that I'd used for training and validating that this was the same person. So in HeyGen, you can't deepfake very easily at all. Whereas in VESA 1, that deepfake, and again, this has not yet been released, and I'm sure there would be checks and balances in play, but the technology for deepfaking in video, let alone the world of images, is already present and waiting in some form to arrive in our world. There's one little thing that I can point out here with these videos, and if you spot some of these closely, as the video moves, you'll notice some little artifacts with teeth. So some of those teeth, hands, and other issues might be things you can spot in the motion of the video, and seems to be a hallmark of the early development of the AI vision type game. But again, this is just going to disappear over time. So I'm going to pause for a quick slurp of my morning starter coffee. Any questions coming through as I just take a moment? Cool. So it's time to prepare, because in fact, this is the worst it's ever going to be. These sorts of technologies, where we're at with HeyGen, where we're at with Midjourney, and all of the image-based AI generation tools. With the text-based large language models like OpenAI, and you would have seen that they released GPT-4o yesterday, which I must say, if I go back to this, and full disclosure, that graph was produced by ChatGPT 4o. And I wanted just to get some background information. And I said, I'm preparing, and I was hoping to come into Canva and prepare this graph based on the measurements of that AI could find me on, the time to develop and time to diffuse. And it just drew the graph for me, which I find beyond belief, just there. So that graph is AI. So the capability is getting better all of the time, and it's only going to get more significant. It's going to become much more difficult for kids to be able to discriminate between the two. So I've got a couple of other sites that I can show you that will illustrate this. But these are our available strategies. Close inspection, learning the craft of taking a deeper look and going beyond the sort of part of the face that we just normally zoom in on, and look beyond that, look beyond the primary subject of the image and go more deeply. We can do reverse image searches too. So if we teach our students to do a reverse image search, we might find that that image is not available in any other form. That falls down, though. You can see that's limited because there are versions of Donald Trump running away from police which are fake images. And that's completely clear of any politics that underlie that. I'm just using that as an image example. And that's now become quite widely used across the internet. So we might end up with something that goes viral that can be found in reverse image searches. So that's a part of the research I did in preparing this a couple of months ago. I think that this strategy is one that I would cross out. The metadata analysis I've used before, where we can dive into the image itself and see if there is something that is identifiable in the metadata. That's not always going to be true. The missing metadata does not say this is AI. So it's just partially helpful. And this is a cobbled together group of things that we should be giving kids as potential strategies. I think teaching children what AI generation image is all about, and giving them experience of seeing the product themselves, their own products of AI, will start to give them a sense of the tonal quality, the image quality. We tend to see there's a particular way that AI images tend to look these days. If I come across to ideogram, you can see there's a feel that bird presents to me that is something that says to me, so I'm going to just quickly generate this one. Ideogram, I think, is one of the better ones out there. Its image quality is not quite as good as, say, Midjourney. It does produce the metadata, so it plays that game nicely. But I was using this teaching staff of a school recently in China. Now that's a fairly realistic looking. That could be a macro lens shot with the out of focus background, very well rendered. So it might be worth having kids look at this sort of thing and start to see, are there any artifacts there? Some of my past history here will show a lot of images of setting up iPhone, Snapchat type prompts, and then it will start to show some of these situations, the social situations, where the hands. Ideogram has problems with hands in a very subtle way, but so too does Midjourney. So we still have a bit of time where we can teach children do you ever notice that I stop talking? Jen Bloomingdale will know this. I start typing, I have to stop talking. So if we now do this one, this is on a free site, by the way. and usually we have to wait a little bit. And we might see this time if there are any hand artifacts that come through this one. So there might be a technique there we can develop with kids where we can take this further and deliberately get them to look at some images. And that hand looks quite good to me. So that's, I can tell by the look and feel of that. There's something that I can't quite detect in the style of that that tells me that that's AI. And I think that the experience in using image generation teaches you these subtle cues that we may not be completely aware of. Amanda, it's a really good platform. It's cheaper and quicker, and it's web-based. So things like the image generation in Midjourney, I might be behind the game a bit, but I'm still using the access to develop through the chat. What's the chat instance? I always forget the name of it. You've got to access it through this discussion Discord. Not Discord. Is it Discord? Not Discord. Yeah, I pay for Midjourney too. So you have to access Midjourney through another mechanism, whereas some are available on the web. And I do think there's a Midjourney available as a web page. This one has let's see how it does with this. It purportedly, as you can see with some of the things underneath, this is what people are doing from a public point of view, and it's generating words way better than Midjourney. So you can see it's doing very, very well at generating words. And that, by the way, is another clue. If you see words that are a little bit jumbled up in or just not quite spelt correctly, or there's a letter missing, or there's an extra T, there are 3 T's instead of 2 T's, then that's a big clue. And so generally speaking, most image generation tools don't handle the word structure very well. But you can see with the examples here that this particular app, Ideogram, does some very, very good things, including fabulous versions of icons and little sort of small graphic images that we use. So again, it's done coffee very well there. It's done some weird stuff on the E, and it's mixed up. I don't know if that's a design intention there, but yeah, these are very plausible. The one caveat to your answer before, Amanda, is that I was demonstrating this to a group of teachers in Beijing recently and getting them to work their way through and address some of these generation issues that they might want to teach. The problem is that it's open to whatever people write. And there was something mildly offensive written. So there's no sort of safe for work filter on this one. Where someone wanted to write some words that we might not find acceptable in a classroom, and they created an image, that might be possible. So there is a concern I have in terms of what I saw on that day. That was not embarrassing, a bit amusing to the group, but if that was a year 7 or a year 8 class, then I might have found that a bit of an issue. So that's something that is worth looking at and developing from the point of view of the whole idea of getting used to generating images, integrated into the purpose of the class, and then using that opportunity to start to have children understand where they might go. One last one, and then we're going to wrap up. This is another platform called Illuminati. My dyslexia stops me from saying that very well. I'm going to drop an image into here and show you what that might look like. And I have some ready. I did have some ready. And
dropping some stuff I didn't know about. So this is awesome.
So yeah, so this is one that is, when you test, I'm just dropping an image onto that. This is an AI image, and it's picked that at 79%. Others that I've tested in this Illuminati picks it at about 20% when it's AI, and I know it's AI. So with that, and to wrap up, the thing that I would really start to emphasize in these two, I think, that are the strongest two, and that's that we should use this as a critical thinking exercise with kids, where they can look at context, agenda, advantage. What is the advantage to the person who might be posting this? What's the source of this? Is there a purpose behind this? And so this one is the detection app, maybe. And over time, we'll find that there'll be watermarks and things that will allow images to be detectable. They might be blockchained, or there might be something that allows systems to detect. But at the moment, we're in the dark. And this is the best we've got going forward at this point in time. So that's it for me. If you want to contact me, that's my link tree. Amanda, do we want the slide deck passed on to you in some way that people might want to?
Yeah, I've actually just got an email from Brenda asking for the slides from the different presentations. I'll send out an email and collect it through a form, and I'll be sharing the spreadsheet of speaker presentations after Week of AI. So
cool.
Yeah, this was excellent. I definitely want a copy of this. Illuminati, Illuminati.
Yes.
Clever little play on words. I love it. And then detection and your criteria for like really thinking critically about art and AI generative images to try to identify them, which is it's important today because as you said, this is the worst the technology is going to be.
Yeah, exactly. So I hope I've left with more questions. I hope I've left the audience with more questions than answers. Part of my intention, because I don't think the answers are all there yet. But yeah, hopefully, if that does trigger some thinking about the way we might approach this, just flipping onto that last one again, then yeah, that'd be great. So I really appreciate the opportunity, Amanda, and for the crowd who came along. I really appreciate your comments and playing along with me. And I wish you all the very best in what is going to be a very crazy world in front of us.
It is. Well, thank you so much. We will be shifting over to our next presentation, so please join me in stream 1. Scott Bricker is coming up next, and he has some really cool things to say. So I'll see you, and I'll make this outro to go do that intro. So
beautiful. Bye. Thanks again, Amanda. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.